Hi. I've been away from this channel for what could be charitably called a modest amount of time. And to be honest, I had no real plans of changing that anytime in the near future. Life's been chill, and it's been nice to be able to enjoy the Sonic series as a run-of-the-mill fan instead of trying to figure out how to quantify and formulate opinions to share with people online. I was pretty content with being out of the old Sonic content creation game and fading into obscurity. Which is why I was kind of shocked that anyone would have remembered me to the point that they would actually send me a preview demo for their upcoming indie title, much less a game that I've been aware of and was interested in checking out anyway. What was I going to do, not check it out and not tell people to check it out too? Rollin Rascal might sound familiar to anyone who follows the Sonic fan game scene with any regularity. Back in 2020, the completed fan game Sonic GT was released by fan game developer Not So Greedy, aka Gabriel Gonzalez. Like many talented developers who started out in the fan game realm, Gonzalez decided to apply his talent toward an original title alongside other talented developers at the development studio Curiomatic. The result of this collaboration? Rollin Rascal. My opinions that I'm going to give here are my own. There was no requirements that it be glowingly positive or say anything in particular about the game. I didn't even have to say anything about the game. But I saw it in my email and I thought it would be really fun to check out. I do think that the game is worth checking out and supporting on their Kickstarter campaign that should be going live pretty soon if it isn't already. When it is live, the demo that I played will be available for you to check out too. Cool? Cool. All right, let's talk about the game. Rollin Rascal is a 3D high-speed momentum-based platformer featuring Rascal, he turns into a ball. Fans of 3D Sonic are going to feel right at home with Rollin's gameplay, especially if you've checked out Sonic GT previously. Its particular flavor of platforming, prioritizing the utilization of terrain and stage familiarity to get going at the fastest possible clip, versus an amplitude of top speed granting moves, feels like a natural progression from that title, but with a visual identity and mechanical uniqueness that makes it feel decidedly like its own thing. Don't expect your skills with previous Sonic titles to translate one-to-one. Rascal has a style all its own, and to maximize your experience with it, you're going to have to play it on its terms. If I had to describe the style of Rollin Rascal's gameplay, maximalism is the word that most comes to my mind. Massive stages, an absurdly high speed cap, little to no mid-air friction, allowing you to fly across swaths of the stages unhindered if you've got substantial horizontal momentum going for you. You have two fairly distinct movesets depending on whether you're in running or ball mode. While not a ball, Rascal handles with the smoothest you would be hoping for from a 3D platforming character. The controls give you a tight initial turning radius and a good feeling amount of acceleration with an incredibly floaty double jump. It all feels great and dependable both at low and high speeds. You also get a wall jump, which I didn't find a lot of utility for in this demo, but it's never not a welcome addition, especially when you're navigating level designs with this amount of verticality. You also get a homing attack and a stomp ability, the latter of which took a little getting used to, because unlike the stomp ability that players may be more used to in games like the Sonic Boost titles, the attack gives Rascal an angled forward trajectory, perfect for diving into a roll down slope terrain. On the subject of rolling, that brings us to the ball mode mechanics. While holding down the roll button, you can rev up your roll similarly to Sonic's spin dash. It'll get you going from a complete stop, but don't expect to reach full velocity with it alone, especially on flat terrain. Its utility seems to be more to keep the action moving if there's no downward slopes to take advantage of, or to make massive leaps from locations that you don't have enough space to get up to speed from otherwise. Also similarly to the Blue Hedgehog, Rascal also makes use of a drop dash style move that fills a similar purpose. While in ball form, the forward angled jump kick move becomes a bounce that I ended up finding way more useful due to better being able to estimate where I was going to land. The bounce back up feels satisfying and retains a large amount of your current horizontal velocity, so don't worry about coming to a screeching halt if you're using it to alter your trajectory or make a pinpoint landing on a platform. Other staples of games in this genre like rail grinding, stage-specific gimmicks like palm trees that act like poles that you can spin off of at different angles, and cannons you can fire Rascal from to clear large distances litter the two stages available in the demo. Rascal can also get his Crash of the Titans on by hijacking the stage's enemies and use their distinct attacks to clear obstacles or other nearby enemies. If I'm being honest, I never really got the hang of the hijacking mechanic. Projectile-based attackers were pretty useful to hijack, but I had a hard time gauging distance with the melee-based enemies. It's a pretty cool idea, but it felt a little pace-breaking, and I don't think that they made the most use out of it in the context of this demo. I would love to see some unique scenarios in the future that took better advantage of the enemy's abilities. In case the description of those mechanics didn't make it very clear, Rollin Rascal is a very mechanically rich game. Don't let the light, cheery, and excellent-looking visual style fool you. Mechanical mastery will be required to get the best experience out of this game, and getting to that point of mastery involves a shockingly high skill ceiling. Sonic fans may not be expecting just how wildly fast you can get going in Rollin Rascal, considering the lack of a boost button. But make no mistake, the pace is equally rapid, and the demands that will be made on your reflexes are even higher than any official 3D Sonic Boost title. Stages are not curated, automated set pieces. They are sprawling second-by-second tests of the player's ability to judge distances, calculate trajectories, make split-second route changes, and pivot direction at a moment's notice. Success leads to exhilaration, failure to frustration. Missing a jump, taking a hit, or missing a turn can be incredibly punishing. Not in the form of losing a life and having to restart from a checkpoint. Bottomless pits, or the ocean to be more specific in this case, are present, but they aren't that big of a threat to the player. No, if you fail to rise to a skill challenge, the result is the abrupt end of any flow state and momentum you have accrued. It can be devastating. I'm struggling to think of another platformer that achieves this level of crushing defeat for simply getting slowed to a halt. I don't think a single Sonic title that I've played can quite hit that same level of heartbreak you feel in Rollin Rascal for reacting just a little too slow. Yeah, you can get back up to speed, but you might be equally as compelled to press the restart button and just take it from the top. But for however crushing a screw-up can feel, the sensation of speed and rhythm obtained by hitting that flow state makes the risk of messing up worth it. The fleeting glimpses of it that I got with my limited amount of time with the demo so far made that blatantly apparent. The replay value Rollin Rascal offers with this freeform approach to platforming is honestly pretty staggering. This is largely due to the sprawling scale of the stages. These levels are long, and not just long, but also incredibly wide in breadth and dense with attention to detail. A player's first half dozen or so of runs will probably look nothing like one another, as the ample amount of alternative routes and skill-based shortcuts encourage experimentation each time. That said, the freedom afforded by the size of these stages also led to the demo's biggest drawback. Players of Sonic GT will probably be familiar with the experience of getting really into their flow state, going on a grind rail, or making an incredibly high-speed leap, just to end up disoriented and forgetting which way you were coming from and which way you're supposed to go. Unfortunately, I ran into similar situations in Rollin Rascal's demo in both of its stages. The fully player-controlled camera doesn't give any hint as to what direction the player should start going in during these times of becoming lost. And while the size and intricacy of the level design allows for immense amounts of player freedom, it can also end up robbing the stages of clear directional conveyance. Players on their first time through will probably experience a similar situation, forcing some slight backtracking to the last piece of terrain with arrows on it, or finding a set of springs to see which way they're facing in order to get back on the right track. Stage familiarity is clearly a huge part of the intended way to play Rollin Rascal. And while these moments of confusion definitely factor into that design paradigm, I can't say that it didn't take away a chunk of enjoyment every time it happened. That said, this is an issue that will only factor in for a player's initial set of playthroughs for the most part, so I can see this getting mitigated the more and more that someone plays. But for a first impression, it can be a little bit of a tough sell. But hey, at least this is a world that looks so good that getting lost isn't a total bummer. I love the summer vibes that the visuals give off, as well as the incredible music tracks for both stages. While Rollin Rascal wears its Sonic inspiration on its sleeves, the game that more immediately sprung to mind when looking at its gorgeous art direction was actually Super Mario Sunshine. Sunrise Shore's choice of cliff colors reminded me of Noki Bay in that game, and Buccaneer Beach's fortresses reminded me a ton of Delfino Plaza. Maybe a little bit of Pirates Island from the game Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg as well. And in case that's not clear, this is a very good thing. The game looks great, and given its tropical stylings, it's a good thing that the water shaders in this demo are gorgeous as well. It's a feast for the eyes. On top of that, Rascal himself is incredibly well modeled and animated. His movement animations do a great job of representing his current speed well. He doesn't feel slippery or unpredictable to control, and good character animation does a lot of heavy lifting when it comes to getting that kind of good game feel. I also really loved his stage clear animations. Seriously, the character animations are on par with a AAA studio and really elevate the presentation. So well done. As of right now, that's all I can think of to say about Rollin Rascal. I didn't have the opportunity to check out the multiplayer mode. I don't even know if it currently works in the demo that I have, but that was going to be too big of a sell for me in the short amount of time that I've had with the demo. I didn't see it in my inbox until a couple of days after they sent it, which was the night before I started recording the audio for this video and 2 nights before this video should be coming out. Despite the 2 demo levels taking quite a bit of time for me to complete as I was getting to grips with the mechanics and finding the optimal level flow, it's a pretty short demo altogether. So my thoughts in turn are a little short form as well. Despite the short length, the quality on display in this demo is top tier. If you've liked what you've seen and heard with my little review, Rollin Rascal could use your help. A Kickstarter campaign to get this game into full development is either about to start or has already begun. And like I mentioned before, the demo that I tried should be available for you to try as well as soon as that goes live. High-speed, momentum-based 3D platformers for a long time were a pretty underserved market, at least if the games that you're talking about weren't called Sonic. But over the past several years, as tools have become more and more available for independent developers and small teams like Curiomatic to be able to create games in this kind of genre that there's always been a lot of passion for amongst fans, but maybe not the guarantee of mass appeal outside of it, crowdfunding campaigns like this make these kinds of projects possible to get off the ground. So if Rollin Rascal looks like it might be your cup of tea and you can afford it, maybe consider throwing a few bucks their way. Not gonna lie, this was a lot of fun to do. It was kind of cool to be able to do another video again after so long, especially because it was to help signal boost a genuinely cool project that I want to see succeed. But I don't think that I'm gonna jump back into content creation like this again anytime soon unless an idea strikes me that I'm so obsessed with that I feel like I have to. Yeah, I think that about covers it. So I guess that's all I've got. I'm not actually back, and have a good one.